Good evening, everyone. Time for episode 14 of the Drums of Doom. We're going to start on page 165, the chapter entitled Ariana and the Queen. Okay, here we go. Queen Afra had come for a visit. Meditating in the temple of Dracon Muir Falor, they prayed and they talked. What have you learned about our ambitious male and his friends? He seeks a magic weapon that he believes will bring Dragonia ultimate victory. His heart is no longer with Lothair, the queen said. He pursues his own private agenda. He has never said as much. You must seduce him and bring him into your confidence. Only then will we know if his secrets are acts of heroism or treason. It will be difficult, Ariana said. His heart is only for an elf slave named Ethmiel. Then I will arrange for her swift demise. That would only reveal our suspicions to him, and then our hand would be forced to act against him. We should plan an accident to remove her then, something unforeseeable and tragic, the queen mused, or an illness, regrettably untreatable, to remove his love from him forever. He would still know. He has many spies collecting information for him. Then what would you suggest? A love potion. Yes, do it at once. And when we are sure that Aklon's son is a traitor, we will place him on trial before the nation and execute him. Yes, my queen, she said with a bow. But even she, evil as most women could never even aspire to be, had mixed feelings. Her face revealed nothing, however. Years of captivity at the hands of the coven had taught her to carry an unreadable face. It was simply a matter of survival. Do not fail us, my daughter. I will not fail, revered mother. Within her quarters, she possessed each of the natural and mystical ingredients that she would need to construct a love potion that no mortal could resist. She would combine the essence of a virgin's sigh, the captured wink of a siren, a cat's purr, and a drop of dragon's lust with honey, red wine and spices, to create the ultimate love potion. A single drop of her own blood, mixed with its magic, would force the drinker to fall in love with her and her alone forever. She was fast beginning to like the idea, and once Vlad was a slave to his love, Ethmiel would become hers to enslave. Things were beginning to look up. Lothair and the Queen. Queen Afra returned to Hoth swiftly. Arriving in the Grand Cathedral by way of divine magic, servants of the coven rushed to fulfill her every whim. Begone, she commanded. Empty the hall. Wasting no time, she communed with the goddess. Kneeling before a perfectly carved idol, both dark and beautiful, she prayed. We must be very careful of the son of Aklon, the goddess said. He has become powerful and ambitious beyond his years. It is in the blood of their family. Their clan has always been a challenge to me. Physical gifts and strong minds have always led them away from the true path. We should just kill him and be done with his bloodline forever. No, the goddess said. He still has a role to play in the prophecy. Without his actions, our ultimate power will never come to be. Watch him and learn, my child, so that when the time is right, we can cast him down and take back what is rightfully mine. It shall be as you desire, the queen said. My blessings upon you, Lothair said. Continue to teach our children my ways, and our future will be assured. Summon me when you must. The idol fell silent. Once again, only a statue. She did her penance, recited the tenets of Lothair, made her offering of blood, and left. She could feel the ever-present power of divine magic within her. The goddess was with her still, and she was perhaps the most powerful priestess that had ever lived. She would ensure that the warrior mage son of Aklon would never challenge her supremacy. Vlad and his court. Commander Vlad, an annoying little wretch of a goblin badgered him. The priestess has invited you to dinner." "That is interesting news. I doubt that I'll have time this evening." "The priestess said that you would refuse, but she insists and requires your attendance." "Perhaps someone should remind her that I am in command of this garrison, not her." "She also said to give you this," the goblin said, holding out a lock of satin black hair. He accepted the gift with barely disguised astonishment. He was shocked, dumbfounded. For Ariana to offer so dangerous of a part of herself was unbelievable. The lock of hair left her vulnerable to magical attacks, spells of control, love, even curses. Perhaps it was not her hair, but somehow he knew that it was. At the least, it was an invitation to her bedchamber, even an admission of love. But that seemed impossible for a woman in her position. All these thoughts both intrigued him and made him as suspicious as hell. "Very well, little butler. What time will dinner be served?" 7 o'clock, master," he answered, "in the priestess's chambers. Tell her that I will be honored to attend." "Right away, master." A dinner wish. Her servants had done an excellent job at preparing her table. They always did, especially considering that the least of her punishments usually involved cleaning toilets used by the orcs, or endless duty in the oppressively hot fortress kitchen. The worst of her vengeances were truly unmentionable, and sometimes ended in someone's death. Nevertheless, she was generally fair, even if only in an evil and especially ruthless way. This night was going to be special. If possible, she was going to tell Vlad of her intentions, but that was all up to him. Her previous dinner with Kristoff had gone quite well, but if she gave herself to him, it would only be to cement his use to her as a tool and nothing more. She found him interesting, but he lacked the layers of their commander, and he was, of course, only human. She hoped that Vlad would not turn out to be a traitor. He was very powerful, capable of attaining the rank of general, at the least, and maybe even more. His power was what the Queen feared the most. Coupled with his obvious ambition and the unswerving loyalty of his followers, he was a threat indeed. If he were not careful, he would find himself imprisoned, tortured, and finally sacrificed to the great spider. Even worse, she would likely be the one asked to apprehend him. Vlad was the first male that she ever truly wanted, and the thought of it unbalanced her. She was used to taking a mate whenever the urge occurred to her, and then discarding them as soon as they were no longer useful. She really had no idea of how to handle him. "Anna Sue," she said to her lead servant, "I do not wish for my guest to want for anything. Wait on him in the most attentive way." "Yes, my lady," she said. "The chef has prepared you a fine meal." Footsteps, fast and nervous, echoed in the hall outside. Knock, knock. "See who it is, Flavius," Anna Sue said. "The lady does not wish to make Master Vlad wait." "Yes, Miss Anna Sue," the guard said. Dressed in light armor and armed with a spear and short sword, he moved like a man who knew how to wield them. "It is the butler, miss." "Send him in." "Miss Anna Sue," the well-dressed little goblin said. "Master Vlad said that he will be here precisely at 7. "Thank you, Miko," Anna Sue said. "We will call you if we need you. You are dismissed." "Oh, thank you," Miss Anna Sue, the little runt said, entirely unsure of what to do with himself next. "Why don't you go down to the mess hall and get some dinner?" Yes, Miss Anna Sue, that sounds good. Yes. And off he went, much to the relief of all concerned. Confident footsteps and a second knock came soon after, as sharp and crisp as it was solitary and alone. "See who it is, Master Guardsman." "It is the commander, my lady." "Welcome him in at once." The door opened, and there he stood. He was not dressed in the hide and adamant of a warrior mage, but rather more simply, in comfortable dinner clothes. He wore black, loose-fitting pants and a fine, midnight blue silk shirt cut square and sharp without excess. His boots were all black dragon hide and polished to a high degree. His face and hair were well groomed and clean. "Right this way, Commander," Anna Sue said. "We have prepared a fine dinner for you." "I am sure that everything will be excellent," Vlad said. "I'm starved." "The priestess Ariana, sir," she introduced, directing him to the table with a gentle wave. Thank you, Anna Sue, he said, but the maid had no idea why or how the captain even knew her name. She blushed readily at his acknowledgment and then tried quickly to recover. She was certain that the lady would punish her mercilessly for it. Slave, Ariana said with a tone full of horrid implications, serve Master Vlad some wine. We have bottles of all of the house wines, sir, including Hoth Vineyards 1997. The chef recommended it with the fillet of wild boar. That will be fine, thank you. Pouring his glass, she took care to cast her eyes downward, for she desperately feared the wrath of her mistress. Have the waiter bring us the first course, slave, and be quick about it. Yes, my lady. Oh, Vlad said, don't blame her, Ariana. I made a point long ago to know the names of every subject within the fortress, be they lord or slave. Each member of our nation has value. Nonsense, she said. She is my slave and nothing more. Her feelings are meaningless. Meeting her comments with a raised eyebrow, he sipped his wine. An excellent year. It is neither bitter nor dry. It is adequate, Ariana said, but I have my doubts that it is authentic Hoth 1997. It doesn't matter. It is a blessing from God. You mean the goddess? Of course, Vlad said, swirling his glass, my lady. But she clearly had her doubts. He felt no need to read her thoughts. Her intentions were obvious. You must know why I invited you here. I think that you have many reasons, Ariana, but first, I must return your gift. Just know that I am honored. You would refuse my gift, she said, not knowing whether she should feel relieved or insulted. Your gift is the most selfless thing that I have ever seen you offer. It gives me hope that we may one day be united. I want you to know that I will only have you by your free will alone and not because I have ensorcelled you. You know that I've always desired our union. Together we can rise to new heights in the Empire. How can you be sure that that is enough? A wave of vertigo suddenly overcame him. He was dazed for a moment, confused. When he recovered, Ariana was even more beautiful than before, if that was even possible. She was desperately beautiful, gorgeous and alluring beyond measure. He tried to resist his welling passion, but it was impossible. Bring dinner to my private chambers in 1 hour, Anna Sue, she said. Vlad and I want to be alone for a while. As you wish, Anna Sue said with a formal bow, my lady. Knock 3 times when the hour has passed, Ariana said. If we are ready, I shall call for dinner. Of course, my lady. Come with me, my dear, she said. I shall show you love as no other woman ever could. His barriers were broken. His passion was part real and part potion. He was a slave to his heart's desire. Perhaps he had wanted this all along. Their passion was the wild union of young lovers, both equally willing and mutually committed. Ariana knew that her spell had taken hold, but the power of it surprised her. It could only be due to his real desires for her, a passion that had not resisted her magic but welcomed it. She would attempt to uncover his secrets only when she was certain that he was hers and hers alone. In time, he would tell her of his own accord. She prayed that he would say the right words, but for the moment, his love was enough. Her spell would appease the queen and increase her favor with the goddess. Anna Sue knocked thrice. We'll take dinner now, Anna Sue, Ariana said. I am very pleased with your service this evening. Leave the trays, and then you may retire for the evening. Thank you, my lady, she answered, hoping that somehow she had avoided punishment. Leaving her chambers, she banished such hopes. She knew the priestess all too well. Commander Vlad had merely granted her a brief reprieve. She would almost certainly be cleaning the orc's latrine at dawn. Trying not to think about it, she returned to her small room next to the kitchens and prayed to the goddess for mercy. Anna Sue's punishment. Dawn arrived unceremoniously. The castle's head chef, Thrace Thylfad, was knocking hard upon her bedroom door. Lady Anna Sue, he said, I have been informed that you are to replace the 4 dishwashers this day. Your duties shall begin immediately and end at midnight. Please allow me a few minutes to dress, sir. Fear not, my lady, he said. I shall see to it that your duties appear far more dismal than they shall actually be. Smiling, she put on her tattered work dress and pulled on her tall riding boots. Tying her hair back in a tight braid, she was soon ready for the muck-encrusted floor of the castle kitchen. She had received the same punishment at least 100 times before. Lifting the latch, she opened her door and stepped out into the short hallway between her room and the kitchen storerooms. Closing her door, she turned, walked past an assortment of hanging beasts and the infant white dragon that kept the room eternally cold. Stopping to pet him briefly atop of his 4-foot skull, she said, "Good work, Frosty. I think it's even colder in here than usual." Perking up for a minute, he smiled as only dragons can, before promptly falling back to sleep, which is what baby dragons do most of the time. Opening up the swinging doors to the kitchen was a steamy affair, from the freezer into the heat of the castle ovens. Mr. Thilefad was there, directing his team of 10 chefs, 14 assistants, and 4 goblin dishwashers newly appointed to prep cooks. He cast a knowing glance at her before directing his gaze to the dish room, a convoluted maze of pots, pans, basins, and racks crammed into a red-tiled room in the back. Making her way there resolutely, she discovered that the sinks were nearly empty, the pots hanging clean, and the dishes shelved. Thilefad risked a great deal in helping her, but rather than bring unnecessary attention to it, she began to work, knowing that she and Thilefad had come to an understanding. He was nearly untouchable as the castle chef, for even the most evil of the pyramid's inhabitants had to eat, and an angry chef was dangerous indeed. Lucky for her, she had found friends in strange places. She was herself Dark Alfar, but her parents were commoners, poor and without influence. Hoping to avoid the curse of poverty and constant hunger, they sold her into slavery at the age of 10. Heartbroken and abandoned, she went to work for the priestess. She was kind to her at first, but as the years wore on, Ariana's evil ambitions grew and withered her power. Despite the fact that Anna Sue had passed the age of her contract of slavery, the priestess refused to free her. She said that her service was too important. Instead, she now received a paltry salary and room and board as per Dragonian national law. Freedom, it seemed, would be forever beyond her grasp. If only a mighty warrior would someday free her from bondage, or perhaps purchase her from her mistress. If only. But for now, there was a new pile of breakfast dishes to wash. The love potion. The next morning, Vlad walked through the halls of the fortress with the same giddy emotions as a child with a new toy. He could not remember the last time that his spirits had soared so high from love, nor could he remember any of his former loves. It seemed strange to him, but only for a moment. He was too happy in love, too filled with lustful longing for the priestess of his desires. Ariana, his mind chimed, so sensuous, inviting, and wonderful. Her devious side and evil machinations were merely a facade, protecting her gentle spirit from those around her. It was just her means to an end, and nothing more. His slave, Ethmiel, had acted strangely in his chambers. Why she had expected him to bed her eluded him. She said that she was his personal assistant, but he could not seem to remember anything about her before that day. No woman besides Ariana mattered to him. There never was another woman. Surely he was a little tired this morning. Nevertheless, work beckoned. Ariana had informed him that his latest orders had arrived from the Queen. He was anxious to see how her plans would fit into his own. The letter awaited him atop of the desk of his first lieutenant. When he arrived in the necromancer's laboratory, he was surprised to find it unoccupied. The letter, however, was there. It was stamped top secret. His name and garrison appeared in the destination space, and the melted wax seal of the Queen's signet ring protected its contents. Opening the envelope with Derek's skull-handled letter opener, he dared not imagine where the bone knife attached to it had come from. He removed the parchment. To Commander Vlad Lucheron, From the Queen in Parliament. Today marks a new road to victory for the Empire. I address the people and send criers out far and wide with news of war. The time has come to defeat the infidels of Firminor, to drive them to surrender and subjugate them. With the new harbor that you pioneered at the Bay of Cod, we have a new and secure landing from which to wage our wars in the north. The warlords of Firminor no longer have a monopoly on safe harbors. We now have a port from which we will land our armies. The bay is only open during the heat of summer, but through it we will march with our allies and crush the forces of Lord Cherrick. Once we destroy his petty kingdom, we will take the harbor of Caen for ourselves, and from there we will invade and conquer all of Firminor. Your commendable actions have brought honor and glory to the Empire, and because of this, Parliament and I have decided to place you in command of the armies of the North. Organize them as quickly as possible, for it is your appointed task to conquer Safehaven and defeat their king. The following letter of promotion is your official copy of advancement. I shall contact you soon to review your progress. War shall commence once the ocean lanes are again clear. In July, we shall unveil our ultimate might. Farewell, Commander. Queen Afra de la Chalet, High Priestess of Dragonia. Tucked behind the letter was a second document. It was affixed with the parliamentary seal, the official stamped image of a standing dragon clutching a sword between its hind legs. He read it immediately. To all who bear witness to this document, the Parliament of Dragonia presents. It is with great honor that we, the combined leaders of Parliament, for recognition of his exceptional service, do hereby promote Captain and Commander Vlad Lucheron to the rank of General of the Armies of the North and Supreme Commander of Dragonian forces in the Northern Reaches campaign. All commensurate rights and responsibilities are hereby granted to him. This promotion is henceforth proper and valid by parliamentary decree, revocable only by a lawful hearing and majority vote by Parliament. The promoted hereby agrees to uphold the tenets of the Dragonian Constitution, respect its laws and its people, and act in defense of the Dragonian Empire. Signed by Parliament. 100 signatures do hereafter follow. Interesting, Vlad thought to himself, for he was neither surprised nor overwhelmed by the news. He had considered the eventuality, even expected it, but he knew that the order had arrived too soon. They had secured many allies and defeated many enemies in the region, but there was still years of preparation needed before a full-scale invasion could possibly succeed. Surely, the Queen and the Goddess were aware of that. There was only one possible reason for the suddenness of it all. They knew his secret. These new orders were a test, a handicap, the many-faceted gem that his father had prepared him for. It was possible that they knew of the relic. He knew that the Duaredheim staff was beyond even the gods. It was universal law, the fabric of existence in material form. Its power was too great for any single being to wield, but he only wanted a fraction of it. A tiny portion would be enough to free his people from slavery. His father's dream was his dream, and the ultimate goal of his Drakkar Noir. The Queen hoped that this new task would thwart his own personal ambitions and reveal him as a traitor to the Empire. It would take a master of plans within plans to achieve success. Failure meant death. He would not fail himself, his father, or his men. Efmiel. She spent the morning cleaning the room of her master. For the first time in over a year, he did not greet her with a gentle touch upon her shoulder, nor had he been interested in making love. It seemed like he barely even knew her, as if she was merely a slave. If she could not bring him back to his senses, then she would soon be in grave danger. Despised for her light skin, only Vlad's commanding presence had kept her from rape, torture, or worse since her capture. What had happened to him, she wondered, and then it hit her. He was under a witch's spell, and it was easy for her to guess which one. She had vowed to see him dead, but in time she had come to know a side of Vlad that few people had ever seen. He was an idealist, a revolutionary, influenced by his past, but poised to make a new future for his people. Somehow, despite her hatred, she had come to love him. Okay. General Vlad Luchereau. His mind spun with a million thoughts. There were so many new factors affecting his plans that it was difficult even for him to sort through them all. He considered many new courses of action, weighing the probabilities of success of each of them. He even considered revealing his secret plans to Ariana. In so doing, the information was certain to reach the Queen and the Goddess, and would soon force their hand. Most likely they would attempt to assassinate him in secrecy, probably blaming the act on agents of Firminor or the like. He quickly decided on another more subtle approach to the problem. It was time to call a meeting of the 9. It would have to include Ariana, his future bride. The more that he thought about it, the more certain he was that he had to put her loyalties to the test. If she loved the Queen and Goddess more than she loved him, then she would quickly betray him. It would be a test then, a test of their love or death. He was ruthless, but he was no murderer. His love was far too great to consider it. His will was as strong as any potion. He would find a way for them all to survive, and to win. Entering the fortress from the lower passages, he stopped to inspect this soldier or that, often asking simple questions such as, "How fares your family, Sergeant?" or commenting upon the care of their uniform. Most often the answers that he would get were, "Yes, sir, right away, sir, thank you, sir," and the like, and twice, lesser-ranking soldiers called him General, although he still wore captain's bars upon his epaulette. He wondered how the fortress knew of his promotion before he did. He could only guess who would spread the word. Apparently top secret no longer meant what it used to. He found Derek assisting Monica with a company of orcs. The orcs were adapting to military tactics even better than he had expected. Their natural instincts for war and human intelligence made them excellent candidates for training. "Good day, Monica." "Derek," he greeted. "Good morning, General." "I see that your work is paying off handsomely, Lieutenant." "Thank you, sir," Monica said. "This is the best company in the battalion. We must accelerate their training. The Queen has ordered our full-scale assault to begin after the spring thaw. Perhaps we can adapt this company for training. Lieutenant, and spread their new skills throughout the division." "It seems a little premature, General." "It is a test," Vlad said, "of our loyalty and our ability. I am calling for a meeting of the 9 this very night." "Shall I send out word?" Derek asked. "No, I shall inform everyone myself. We shall meet in the secret chamber. The dress will be full combat attire. We must be ready for anything." "Yes, General," they answered. "Midnight," he answered. "We meet at the highest hour. Beneath the stars our footsteps shall either step forward or turn back. Be prepared, my officers." Saluting, they parted company. Derek and Monica exchanged troubled looks. In the meantime, there was training to do. The orcs were growing impatient. "Pair off," Monica ordered. "We shall review the unarmed combat drills that we learned last week. If your techniques are satisfactory, I will show you more. Lieutenant Derek, will you assist me?" "Of course," he answered, and they filled the afternoon with sweat and the determination of 100 orcs. Okay, next episode 15, we will start at the top of page 183, chapter entitled The Highest Hour. Thank you for reading. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, read The Drums of Doom, Part 2 of the Duaredheim Staff Saga, by me and all the following novels. Have a great night.